If you are in sales and marketing, would you like a magic wand or the proverbial silver bullet to get better results? Yeah, me too. But it's not going to happen to anyone soon. Yeah, with some smart thinking and some smart strategy, there's a way to streamline operations and drive revenue growth. And to do that, I'm pleased to welcome Ed Marsh, a frequent guest. He's the founder of Ed Marsh Consulting. Ed, glad to have you on the program.
Jeff, it's always great to join you. Thanks for having me back.
And where do you come to us from?
So today, I guess it's kind of a legacy of COVID and work from home. I'm working from my home office, which today with the weather is nice. I'm sitting in my backyard. So I've got a small office not far from where I live, but some days it's nice to be able to just sit outside. In New England, I don't know exactly what it's like for you, but up where I am in the Northeast, we've got relatively short season, so it's nice to take advantage of it.
Well, good for you. I love your backyard there. I have a backyard. Mine is flat and has some grass, and that's about it. Maybe a tree or two, but
Yeah,
good for you.
thank you.
Well, Ed, do you have a silver bullet for us or a magic wand?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have to be working every day and do that kind of stuff if I have a silver bullet. But I mean, I think implicit in that, of course, everyone understands that there isn't such a thing. But it's interesting to think about the complexity of revenue growth for B2B companies. There's so many pieces that fit into it, and that really argues even more against the silver bullet.
I suppose so. But you have something for us. We're going to talk about what building a tech stack, or what is that? Tell us about
Yeah,
that.
so a lot of companies just take for granted the technology that they use as part of their sales and marketing, and they may not think about it as critically as I think they would benefit from doing, from the perspective of their buyer experience, from the perspective of the investment. And I mean, it's so easy now that you've got all these subscription services. Somebody just says, "Oh, that sounds good," signs up, and before you know it, you've got a out of control tech stack that may not be properly harmonized, may not be achieving what you want.
Okay, so we need a tech stack. Tell us what's in it.
All right, so we can go really deep into like peeling back the onion, but first I would step back as just that people think about why it's important. I mean, why do they need to have a tech stack, and why do they need to think about it as critically as I would suggest in this conversation? I'd say we have to think about priorities. The number one priority is delivering a great buyer and customer experience. Next priority is probably to help the sales team be more effective and efficient. And the third is to gather data so that you can continuously improve. And so we can kind of dive into each of these. If we think about the buyer journey, that means we need to make it easy. Our technology needs to make it easy for prospects and customers to find what they need when they need it, and in a context that actually helps them redefine their goals and their needs. We need them to be able to easily navigate the website. They need to be able to access tools. We had a great conversation recently about content across the buying journey. And so downloadable files and calculators and information and videos and whatever they need at the various stages in their very convoluted and long buying journey, they need to be able to find that. And the sales and marketing tech stack should focus on delivering that experience. And it could be a chatbot, it could be a customer portal, it could be having the sales pipeline in the CRM that guides reps to be properly consultative and tracks and lets them know if somebody has opened or not opened, for instance, a critical notification email, so that if they haven't opened it and they need to know, you can follow up. If we think about making the sales reps and the marketing team more efficient and effective, selling is hard. Marketing is hard. There's so much to juggle. And if we want them to help buyers more, we need to optimize the tools to help them maximize the results, maximize their time, and be effective with buyers. So the tool should do that. And that could mean dashboards. It could mean alerts of a prospect visiting the website or opening an email. It could be meeting scheduling links just to save the 7 emails back and forth about what day and time works for you. And oh, that's booked now. And you just use a link and get it on everyone's calendar. So that's efficient and better for everybody. Maybe it means helping somebody connect directly to a piece of content, rather than hunt around, but say, hey, here's a link to what I think is helpful. And you can even do that automatically in some cases. Or maybe it's helping them when they're on the website and saying, okay, now I want to talk to somebody. Do that efficiently by going from a chat bot to live chat. The key here, though, is that so much software and so much technology is sold to help sales reps just be machines, to blast out more emails, to blast out more spam, to make more useless phone calls. And that's not helpful because remember, our number one priority is to be helpful to buyers. And so we need to think of the tech stack in the context of that. And then I guess the third priority is for companies to actually understand what works, to tweak what's not working as well, to double down on what is working well, to make sure they understand their cost per lead and understand what landing pages work well and understand what email subject lines work well so that everything can work toward improving that experience and making everyone more efficient. So as I think about the tech stack, it's not just, oh, well, we need, you might say, well, we need accounting software, so we got to get accounting software. But sales and marketing is different. It's not as much, I would say, purpose built as it is creating this ecosystem.
We're not going to dig into each one. That'd be a whole episode for each one or more, a class maybe. But Ed, whenever I'm told in my company at ICE to say, hey, we have this new technology, this new platform to make it easier on the members, as you mentioned, clients for business, I think, how am I going to do that? So it's not easy maybe for the salespeople, is it?
No, it's absolutely not. And so there has to be a lot of thought that goes into it. I think the stories about failures of CRM implementations could fill books. I mean, it's common, and that's the problem with just selecting software. If you think of it kind of progressively of how we dive down deeper toward achieving each of these priorities, from a sales perspective, you got to start with a website and with email, and people often don't even stop to think about that. They just kind of assume that's there. But then you need a CRM. Then you need database tools for reps to be able to research. You need calendar scheduling tools. I'd say you need a chat bot. You probably need sales video, which is, not necessarily the video that you'd see on the company's YouTube channel, but a short video that you can embed in an email to make it more personal, to maybe show you on the screen, showing them something. That's a really powerful tool that many companies overlook. Intent data, which we've talked about in the past, email tracking, CPQ, configure, price, and quote. A lot of times it's possible to improve the efficiency by helping reps prepare proposals from directly within the CRM they're working on. Sales document management. You think about how many brochures and white papers companies have, and marketing spends all this time and money to create them, and the sales never uses them because they don't know where they are. They don't know the latest version. They don't understand how to use them in the sales process. So you need to make that easy. You need custom objects for the CRM because, I mean, your listeners, the folks that are running these services, have contracts. They need to track renewals and they need to understand service issues and have tickets. You need SMS. Many rising generations of buyers want to communicate by message, text message, and many companies don't even offer that option. Of course, you need reporting. You need tools in some cases to help the sales team more effectively outreach in their prospecting. Again, not in some kind of a spam or abusive way, but to help them be efficient and reach in the right kinds of buyers. On the marketing side, I mean, I don't know if you follow, but Chief Martech is a guy that's built a chart every year for about the last 20 years showing the explosion of marketing technology. It used to be, a couple hundred softwares, and now it's thousands, I think 10 or 15,000. So there's no end of marketing tech that you can buy, but you need to understand website behavior tracking. You need SEO tools, certainly for research. I'd say you need call tracking in industries where it's common for companies to call in. You want to know who that is and connect it to the CRM record so you know who you're talking to, and you log that and you record it and you track what of your marketing actually drives calls. And I mean, there's tons others, but those I think would be places to start with. But to your point, you have to implement it all with a clear plan of how it comes back to those priorities, not just say, hey, we've got this. People have to work it into their workflow. They have to be accountable to use it. You have to have metrics for KPIs to track adoption. You have to have training and coaching. You need to build it into the sales coaching and all that kind of stuff. So you're absolutely right about that.
Now, I understand that you're offering your services to do all this for people for free.
It's a big project. I
It's a
think
big project. All kidding
companies are,
aside.
it's a journey. I
Yeah,
mean, companies may hear this, and the worst thing is that they would hear this and freak out and say, "Oh my goodness, this is so much. I'm just not going to do any of it."
that's my
But think
point.
of it as a maturity model. You pick the high priorities first, and then you gradually fill in pieces along the way.
Mhm. All joking aside, yes, you need to, whatever you bite off, be able to chew, but you need to do it. That silver bullet, if you find it, you need to fire it. So, um,
Absolutely.
let's talk about this. So there's some really smart salespeople out there, maybe that have been around a long time, many
Mhm.
years. They're savvy. Could this take away that edge that they have? That, they're good, but now they're relying on tech and takes away their personality.
So if you think that tech does the sales job, you're absolutely mistaken. With buyers being 70% of the way through their buying journey, marketing has to do part of the sales job, but they have to work hand in hand. And tech can actually help to smooth that buying journey and smooth the handoffs and all that kind of stuff. However, salespeople still have to sell. And any rep, I think there's two common things that come up. Some reps say, "Oh, well, I've got my method, and this gets in the way." Well, maybe your method worked really well back when people had literally a Rolodex, but they're using other tools now. And the fact that you may not be comfortable with sales video or live chat doesn't mean that your buyers don't want it. So you can still have personality, of course. I mean, you still convey who you are and bring your expertise and insights. You're doing it through different tools to reach people in a way that's more suitable for them. The other thing that you often hear from salespeople is something along the lines of, I'm not interested in Big Brother watching over my shoulder. And too often, honestly, CRM implementations have that flavor to them. We're going to start tracking what everyone's doing because we don't think you're working hard enough. Well, guess what? That breeds resentment. On the other hand, for good salespeople who want to be effective and want to be efficient and want to win and want to compete and want to deliver great experience for their buyers and help their buyers improve their business, then all of these tools, if they're properly selected and properly implemented, should encourage that, because what it does, it makes them more effective at doing all those things. So the key is to position it, but not just kind of from the rhetorical side, but actually from the practical and implementation side. Position it as something that's going to help everyone be more successful.
That was a topic I kind of wondered if we should talk about: privacy, security, data. But I guess that's a conversation with every tech application there is.
Yeah, and so that also then brings up the question of who makes the selection and who
Mhm.
does the implementation and who manages it on an ongoing basis. And so when you think about privacy and data and some of those issues, the IT department plays a really important role. I mean, that's their bailiwick. That's the stuff they understand. And maybe integrating with the accounting system or the ERP or something like that. However, in my experience, the IT department has a very different perspective than the sales and marketing department. And so while they play an important role in making sure that everything is according to Hoyle, that you're checking those boxes and thinking about those things that salespeople might just blow right past and not want to spend time thinking about, at the same time, in order for this to be effective, in order to keep the customer experience top of mind, in order for it to be agile, in order for it to adapt and try new things and work in all these other details, it needs to be managed by someone in the revenue growth function. And there's actually new positions that are being created in companies over the last couple of years called revenue ops or marketing operations or sales operations that have a large part of their responsibility focused around creating, maintaining, and optimizing the tech stack so that it is agile and is responsive.
You mentioned according to Hoyle. I have to wonder how many young people understand that reference. Maybe you just dated us. I don't know.
Well, it's easy. All people have to do is look at the video, and we've dated ourselves. But I guess you'd raise an interesting point because everyone is thought these days to be able to express themselves and do things their own way. But sometimes there are just some simple, fundamental rules of business that you have to follow.
Absolutely. Well, Ed, let's wrap it up. Any final words you'd like to offer?
Don't be intimidated. Don't be overwhelmed, but don't be intimidated. Start thinking about the buyer experience. Start thinking about what you do on a B2C basis. and what you've come to expect and what makes an easy experience, or what you now just very quickly get frustrated at. Maybe on your mobile device, if you can't find things as well as you can on your desktop, that probably means there's a shortcoming in the website. And experiment. I tell companies to try the website, for instance, without any navigation, because if you have tools to record and watch buyer behavior on a website, you'll see often it's incredibly frustrating trying to follow the nav. So be willing to experiment, be willing to try new things. And most of all, understand that the technology and the experiences that it can help create are expected by buyers. It's not something where, it's really optional anymore.